So, what really defines a spiritual path? Is it something you're born into? Is it a set of beliefs you just hold? Or is it all about what you actually do? It's a huge question, right? Well, today we're going to explore it through the lens of Vaishnavism, a spiritual tradition that has some pretty surprising answers. Let's dive in. Right off the bat, the source material we're looking at makes this incredibly bold claim. It presents Vaishnavism, which, is a major tradition within Hinduism focused on the worship of Vishnu, not as some niche little group, but as a truly universal spiritual path. Now, that might not be what you expect, so let's see what that really means. And here it is, the core idea, just laid out so clearly. This isn't some modern spin either. This is a foundational principle. And you can really feel this spirit of radical inclusivity in the song Vaishnava Jainatho, which was a favorite of Mahatma Gandhi's. It basically says a true devotee is someone who feels the pain of others. Pretty powerful stuff. All right, so let's really dig into how this principle of openness is woven right into the fabric of the faith. We're about to see how it deals with social structures and gives us some amazing, concrete examples of this inclusivity in action. Okay, let's tackle a really common point of confusion head-on. The source is absolutely emphatic about this. Within Vaishnavism, your social status or caste is not a barrier to becoming a devotee. Where you were born doesn't determine your access to this spiritual path. Period. And hey, this isn't just some abstract philosophical idea. We've got historical proof. Just look at the Alvars, the most revered saints of the tradition. You've got kings and warriors like Kulasakara, and through Mangai, you have non-Brahmins like Namalwar, and sure, you have Brahmins like Periyawar. So what's the point? The thing that united them wasn't their social class. It was their deep, profound devotion. That was the only qualification that truly mattered. Okay, so this brings us to the absolute heart of the practice in Vaishnavism. It's called Kainkarya, which means devotional service. This is really the how-to of being a devotee. But it's not just one thing. It actually expresses itself in two really distinct and super important ways. So, this slide gets at a really crucial distinction. On one hand, you have Bhagavat Kainkarya, that service directed right to the Lord himself, done without expecting anything back. But then, and this is key, you have Bhagavata Kainkarya, service to the Lord's devotees. And in Vaishnavism, this is actually considered the supreme virtue. And this quote from the Padmatara Purana just hammers the point home. It's so explicit. Worshipping Vishnu is great, but serving his devotees is even greater. The logic is actually really simple and beautiful. The Lord is most pleased when you take care of the people he loves. So, naturally, there's a flip side to this. If serving devotees is the highest possible good, then offending them, what's called Bhagavata Apachara, is considered a huge mistake. It's something to be avoided at all costs, because it's said to bring the wrath of Bhagavan, or the Lord's displeasure. So, we know that service is absolutely key, but how do you make that philosophy practical for everyone, no matter what their skills or their background are? Well, the tradition provides this incredibly accessible framework for just that. And this is where the great sage Acharya Ramanuja comes in. The source says that out of his infinite mercy, he laid out 5 totally distinct forms of service, or kainkaryas, specifically designed to suit the competence and, importantly, the convenience of every single person. And honestly, this framework is just brilliant in how inclusive it is. Think about it. If you're a scholar, awesome. You can study the really complex commentaries. If that's too tough, no problem. You can study the sacred hymns. Can't do that? That's fine. You can perform physical service at a temple, bringing food or lighting lamps. If you can't even afford that, you can just chant a sacred mantra. And finally, if you feel like you can't do any of that, the 5th option is the simplest and maybe the most profound. Just hang out with other devotees. No one is left out. There's a path for absolutely everyone. Okay. This brings us to a few terms that can get a little confusing, but they're really important for understanding the relationship between social identity and spiritual identity here. We're going to break down the difference between Brahmin, Vaishnava, and Iyengar. This is the big question, right? Are they all the same thing? Are they related? How do they fit together? Let's get a really clear definition. This table just lays it out perfectly. A Brahmin, that's a social or hereditary category, one of the 4 varnas based on traditional duties. But a Vaishnava, that is a spiritual identity. It just means devotee of Vishnu, and it's based on your own personal choice and dedication. So an Iyengar is simply where those two things intersect. a person who is a Vaishnava by their faith and also happens to be a Brahmin by birth. And this distinction is everything. Being a Vaishnava is a path you choose, not one you are born into. So as we start to wrap this all up, let's circle back one last time to the central, powerful message that's been building this whole time. If there's just one thing you take away from all this, let it be this. In Vaishnavism, the true measure of a person isn't their social standing, it's not their level of scholarship, it's not their background. It's the sincerity of their devotion and the reality of their service to God and to other people. It's a path that's defined by what you do and who you are in your heart. And that really just leaves us with a final thought to chew on. If an ancient spiritual tradition says that compassionate service to other people is the highest, most pleasing form of worship there is, what could that simple, powerful idea mean for how we live our own lives today?